I made them wait for a minute. What up, guys? How are y'all? How are y'all? If I look worn, hang on, let me unmute that mic while I get this other one back going. Apparently, somebody forgot to charge the microphone. I'm gonna say it was Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get that battery right there. No, the receiver is dead down there. So
See, this is what happens when we're all in the same spot. We can't audio check each other, wouldn't it?
yeah, I got a battery right here. We're gonna plug this in. Well, I think last time I did that, it made a noise. So we'll see how it works. If not, we'll just roll the mic around. That ain't even the right cord.
Yeah, just ignore that sticker.
That ain't even the right cord. Oh, you got one down there too? That sticker's out of wood.
I put a sticker on the mic. That's why they can't hear us. Anyway, we'll work through our technical difficulties here in Alabama, all because I came and messed up the mojo a little bit.
Well, we do have that mic right there, so we can use it worst case. If this makes a humming noise, which I think it may. Last time I tried to run a power to this thing, it did that, but I think it was because I was using USB power, so maybe by being on a battery.
Yeah, sometimes when you plug it into the same device that it's working from it.
Maybe by using this battery. Okay, now it looks like those mics are hot.
All right. Quick test. We'll give you 10 seconds. Let us know if this is working okay, if it sounds okay, or if it's humming.
Yeah, if there's a hum in it, let me know.
But hopefully, there's an echo. Is there still an echo?
There should.
Is it low?
Yeah.
Now they say it sounds great.
Okay.
Good, even. Okay, we'll roll with this. Let us know if the audio gets a little funny, and then we'll switch back to the single mic and just try to balance it out.
Worst case, we can use just this thing, but right now I've got it muted, and we're using our own little individual mics.
All right, all good, no humming. We'll roll with it. All right. So,
all right, that's just a small hiccup. See, we got it fixed. We got it fixed.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing nobody heard me say anything. I don't know when did it go out? Did it go out the whole time?
Do we need to re-roll the video?
This is killing me.
Anyway, so I'm down here in Clack Shop because we just got back from Workbench Con, and he spent 3 and a half, I don't know, days in Atlanta, 3 nights, 4 or 5 days.
It was three overnights and 4 daylight.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
Had a great time, but as Clack was saying, it's been a lot of talking. He went out. I crashed. After dinner, I crashed last night. But Clack went out to a noisy, fun bar, trying to have another conversation with someone.
Well, it was a business meeting.
He's a little rough, but
it was a business meeting. It just happened to be at a loud bar.
Right. So we're here. I'm taking a layover at the Clack Shack before I drive home the rest of the way. Looking forward to that 16 hours after all this fun. But hopefully I'll get home before maybe the last blast of snow. But we did enjoy hanging out with some people. Don was up. JR was out hanging out in the evenings as well. I know there were a couple others that had mentioned they watched us from the live stream. Of course, we had a lot of our creator friends who know us from general stuff as well. So it was really fun to connect with people, get to connect with some sponsors and vendors. We didn't go to a lot of the classes that they offered.
And maybe that's just because a lot of the classes I think are more geared towards folks just getting started per se. and it wasn't something that it wasn't something I was really just gangbusters about. And I wanted to take time to like network with some of the other creators. There was a lot, guys. There was a lot. Like I think every major CNC company, as far as I'll say major, the top CNC companies, the ones that you see the most, was it the Shark, Onefinity, CNC Labs, PWN, Shapoco, they all had representatives there. And so that was really cool. That was different than last year. Last year it was pretty much. Oh, and Phantom. Yeah, I forgot about them.
Yep.
They're out of my price range right now, though. I mean, I like the machine. The laser was really cool. But yeah, there were like the represented companies for CNCs was awesome this year. Of course, you had Vectric was there, Carveco was there, Lightburn was there. We did get to see Mill Mage actually moving a machine.
Little preview of Mill Mage. So and they didn't give us. We don't have a date, but they said. Was it very, very soon?
Very soon it will start rolling out. That they've already got some, which we knew because we know some folks that are testing it, but there's already some testers out there and they're saying that it's going to be very soon. That was about all we could get them to say. We kept waiting for them to offer like it's a thumb drive or something with the software on it, but that never happened. So, we're going to wait with the rest of you guys until it gets released. I did get a couple of pictures. I got a little bit of video. I'll try to look through my phone and see what I got. And maybe we can do like a little short about it or whatever, but it was, it looks a lot like Lightburn, a lot of the same tools as far as being able to draw your design and stuff. Where you would normally have your power and all that, LPI and all that, they just kind of plug in speeds and feeds, ramping and all the CNC stuff, plug that in there. And that's basically what it is. So it was pretty eventful, pretty cool. Like I said, one big thing, I think the two most exciting things that I think you guys are going to see coming up on like in this next few months, I think the two biggest things that are going to be happening that's going to shake up the CNC world is the release, of course, of Mill Mage with Lightburn. But there's also another machine in the making. And I don't know how many of you guys have saw it, but I got very fortunate to actually sit down and talk to the guy that's building the machine, the owner of the company, and Daniel over at PWN CNC. And that new Dominator that they're coming out with, we got to see the prototype of it. It wasn't completely ready. They just kind of had it protoed together with some 3D printed parts and some acrylics that were cut on the CNC and stuff like that. So it couldn't do what they suspect it's going to do, but they were able to move it and check everything. It has a Masso controller, so it kind of looks like a Open Builds mixed with a Onefinity as far as the controller setup. To me, I mean, because it's got the Masso controller sitting on the front of it, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's got the Masso controller. Yeah,
it kind of looks like an Avid frame, maybe.
Bit of Avid, bit of Open Builds, because they're using a lot of aluminum extrusion, but it's like what 30 by 60.
40 by 80 or
40 by 80, yeah.
Maybe did he say? I think he said either 40 by 80 or 20 by 80. But it's big extrusion.
So yeah, it's got a bit of that look, but it also part of what he wanted to do with that is make it a little more flexible for people to mod. He encourages modding of it, so yeah, that'll be interesting to see that for sure.
Yeah, like I said, that machine is going to be cool because it's going to be very customizable, I think. And if he's able to pull off what he's saying, because y'all know I'm wanting to get me a bigger machine to do rotary stuff on. I talked to the folks at Onefinity, I talked to CNC Labs, and I talked to PWN. And spec wise, as far as the capacity of doing round things, if PWN can do what they're saying that they can do, that's going to be pretty awesome. Because with me having the sawmill, having access to be able to dry like larger pieces of wood, the PWN saying that he's going to be able to do like 15-inch diameter pieces of wood, and if that comes true, then that's pretty cool. I may wind up having to get one of those for the shop.
Yeah.
At least I don't know if I can get it right now, but at least when I get my new shop.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I there were some really good classes they were offering. But both you and I kind of decided the networking opportunities were gonna kind of take priority, and And so, yeah, we were talking with both various sponsors and manufacturers, as well as other individuals we think would be helpful to bring on here and give some maybe specialized
we actually
experience.
have some pretty good potential guests, I guess you could say, or co-hosts, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But we got some pretty good potential folks that expressed that they wouldn't mind coming on the show. So once everybody gets home and gets settled and like life gets back to normal, we hope to like reach out to those guys and just try to get them on here and talk to them about their story and let them see what they bring to the table and get you guys to ask some of those questions you've been wanting to ask maybe. So some of those guys do their own lives and some of them don't do very many of their own, but they have been on live. So it's going to be, it'd be interesting. Brian's saying, was it a loud bar with dancers? Well, there was people dancing, but no, it was not that kind of a place. It was actually at the, like one of the, it was like a bowling alley, like karaoke. They had everything, but it's a pretty cool place. But to be honest, guys, I felt a little old there. So I just sat and talked to Daniel, the guy that is building the PWN CNC. Me and him sat there and talked about the machine and business and all that kind of things. And I'm actually didn't realize that they're based out of Arkansas, which is not that far from where I am. And Steve found out that it's actually kind of the midpoint between us.
Yeah. So I mean, it's probably, well, I don't know. We didn't really look to see how far it is for you because it's a little bit further west than my trip home. But it's actually only about 9.5 hours for me, and I think probably 7 to 8 for you.
Yeah, it would be a full day to get there. But we had talked about, and I told Daniel, I was like, well, look, when you start getting this thing ready to go, I'm not going to say that it's not possible that I wouldn't be willing to ride up there and look at it toward the facility and look at the machine and do some testing with him. So, hey, getting close to retirement, and depending on when it is, who knows, it could happen.
Yep.
It could happen for sure.
But yeah, we got to meet a lot of cool creators and such, including
such foolery. What do we got going on over here? Steve's been messing with my sign, guys.
Well, I just times are tough. You might need to put in a little more.
You're trying to break my spirits. There we go.
But
that's the way it's supposed to be. I knew I saw him over there messing around. I wasn't sure what he was doing, but now I know.
But yeah, it was really good to connect with a lot of people, both just people we know to hang out with it, people we kind of starting new connections with, I got to inform David about who Jimmy DiResta was.
Yeah, that was Steve. Steve was looking at me like I was an idiot, and I was like, "What did I do?" I thought maybe I said something wrong, because let's face it, guys, I'm not the most politically correct, nor do I have the most like refined raising. I'm just not. But yeah, that's a story we'll get into. But yeah, what's next? It was good to see a lot of guys. What's next? Woodworking said hello. But yeah, it was good to see a lot of guys. There was a lot of channels there that make me feel like just like first day rookie. And then there was some guys that were coming up and starting their channels, and y'all know that how I am. I if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you. And so there was a few channels that were just getting started. Maybe they were on Instagram. They're getting into YouTube and stuff like that. I enjoy talking with those folks because y'all know that my Instagram following is like nothing. So I try to glean a little bit of information from them and then help them out and stuff. So it was cool doing that. But yeah, there was a lot of big channels there. We actually, we were sitting at the table, and I'll go ahead and tell the story.
Okay.
So that you can correct me if I'm wrong. But we were sitting at the table, and it was around like lunch. They were doing speakers and stuff like that. And me and Steve just kind of got off in the corner on a little table. We had like half the table was probably still vacant. And all of a sudden these guys walk up and they go to sit down, and, and I'm trying to be courteous because, people sit at the table, and I know a lot of times it's awkward, because you don't know people. And so I was just like, hey guys, how's it going? How y'all enjoying the show or the conference? I think is what I said. How y'all enjoying the conference? That kind of thing. And I noticed, like, it feels like I got like daggers hitting me in the side of the face. And I look over at Steve, and he's looking at me like, seriously? And I'm like, what? I mean, I just asked him, okay. So I'm like, trying to figure out what did I do that was wrong, because all I did was just trying to be nice. And so I'm like, is this guy like a serial killer, or is this? I mean, what's the deal? Was I not supposed to speak to this guy? Did I say something to offend him? And the guy, they're like, oh yeah, it's going pretty well. And then Steve's just like staring at me like, you idiot. And so finally I lean over and I'm like, what? What is it? He's like, do you not know who that is? And I'm like, should I? And it was Jimmy DiResta. But I didn't know who he was. I had saw some of his content. I'm not going to say I haven't, but I didn't make that connect. You know what I mean? I didn't recognize him out of the element. You know what I mean? If I saw him on a thumbnail, maybe I would have. I didn't know the name, because I'm y'all know my memory is not that great. It's kind of right up there with math as far as names go. But yeah, it was interesting. I thought Steve was going to like kick me under the table. So, but yeah, it was interesting. But guys, I will say this: I've met quite a few celebrities, I guess you could say, folks that are a lot bigger than me on YouTube, because I don't consider myself to be anything anywhere near anybody special. I'm just a guy with a camera that puts stuff on the internet. And I've met lots of them, and I will say Jimmy was probably the least suspecting, because he didn't act like he was supposed to be treated special. I mean, he was just a cool dude, and which was surprising when I realized he had 2 million followers. I'm like, that's impressive, because I've met guys that had 60,000 followers that thought I was supposed to roll out the red carpet and know their name and all the names of their children and stuff like that because of who they were. So it was good to meet Jimmy and just get that, like seriously, it could have just as well been somebody from down the street from my house. I mean, that was the way he acted. He was really cool.
Yeah, no, he was very cool, and gave everybody some time and was there taking pictures. And he's very supportive of the maker community, and so he's very supportive of everyone that kind of steps up and is putting themselves out there. And so it was really fun. And then I think the next day, Cody came up to me and he was like, hey, let's talk with Jimmy. He really wants to try out some of my bits. So he was trying to get that. And then we talked to them a little bit more then, and giving Jimmy some of the kind of what we've used some of the bits for, and helping Cody.
We were vouching, not that our vote of confidence counts, but we were trying to give a vote of confidence to Cody.
But it was great to, and that was kind of the attitude of most people there, is that, and what amongst kind of the maker community and whatnot, is that everybody's very supportive of each other in general. So it was nice to see that continue there.
Brian, no, I have been planning. I'm drawing it out myself. I've done talk to some people that are in the business of, land prep, concrete pouring, metal building installation, and all that. And I'm just saving money right now. I'm scraping every penny I can, trying to put it in the bank, get it ready so that I can start building. Hopefully, start getting stuff prepared toward the end of the year. I don't want to get too deep into it until I'm ready to retire, because there's a lot of cutting trees and moving brush and stuff like that I need to do with the tractor. And if I try to go ahead and do it too soon, I'm going to have to devote all my time to doing that. And I won't be able to devote the time to the business that I need to right now. So I'm going to have to wait until I retire to really start rolling that ball. Because if I don't, something's going to suffer. Because if I take 8 hours away from this to go push trees up in a pile and burn them or whatever, eventually it's going to negatively impact my business. And I need my business as strong as I can as I exit my full-time job.
He's just going to con me to come down here, and then he's going to throw a chainsaw at me or something. So
yeah.
Hey, Kim and Garrett, good to see you here. And you went 2 years ago, a lot of networking. That's kind of what our year was about.
Yeah, that was the goal.
We kind of looked at the classes, wanted to pay attention to what was there, as if we had kind of a lull, but man, those conversations just kind of kept happening with various people. And so by the time we got done, it's 1:30 in the morning. We're going, okay.
We were asleep, because, and I'm sure Kim and Garrett knows how it is, because I know they know how it is, because we basically did that over in Vegas. But you get sitting down talking to people about the business side of things, or the balance, because believe me, trust me, guys, there is a balance to doing this, a balance between, work and family, of course. And then there's, especially if you like me and have a full-time job, now you got to kind of like carve in some time for that. And then, just like we talked about earlier, you know, when you get a channel and things change and your life kind of, you know, your perception of yourself can get twisted sometimes if you're not careful. So you have to balance that and try to keep your feet on the ground and your head out of the clouds, you know, and do the job. But at the same time, be thankful and just because of the opportunities that we get, because it was cool that I got to meet somebody like, you know, Darista and some of the other guys over there that you know, he's just the biggest one. It's not downplaying what anybody else has accomplished, but you know, he has taken what we're doing and like taking it to a whole new level, in my opinion. Because like I said, I got my friend May, I got my folks over at Cog Hill. They're really successful at this, but 2 million is a big number. The number of views he gets is insane. So it's just a different level. Just like Kim and Garrett. I mean, Kim and Garrett are, you know, they're kind of one of those little goals, you know, to be one day as big as their channel is. So that's, you know, you just got to keep going, and it's good to talk to people just like, you know, Kim and Garrett. We talked to them over there, and you talk about the struggles of family, and, you know, going to the shop and being there until midnight, and you look down, it's like, oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to get some sleep. So, you know, it's good to get that opportunity to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I think we spent more time with Cody than we did anybody.
I know I did, because those are some of my late night conversations. I mean, even one night, you know, you went to bed, and I stuck around talking with him a little bit longer. But you know, some of that is, you know, some of these people you have friends with, and you know, that's the one time a year you get to talk in person. It's just a little bit different. But just gonna jump back to this one. Dennis is asking, was it worth the money? And you know, that's a question every person has to answer for themselves based on what you're going there for. If you're going there to learn more about being a better woodworker, there are classes and people there that will help you, but it's not its core focus. It's part of it. But they're very big about whether you're doing content to be your primary or you're a maker and you want to add content to it. A lot of this conference is about the content creation side.
Yeah, it's more about making than it is making, like, I guess, about being a maker creator than it is about being a maker per se.
Yeah.
You know, they do have classes like the epoxy where you go to put hands on with epoxy and stuff like that. But a lot of the classes are geared toward, you know, bookkeeping and tax setup and managing your business and revenues. And I mean, it's kind of a mix. It's kind of a punch bowl of different things. But you, as the person who's paying the bill to go, has to make the decision, is this something that's going to benefit you? And what do I need to do while I'm there to get the most benefit from this? And networking is very, very big in this industry, I guess you could call it. And so that's where I lean my focus. It's, you know, my wife is kind of my business advisor, helper, and everything. And so the business part of it, you know, I think we got that pretty well handled. And so there's some of those classes I didn't want to necessarily partake of.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying something earlier. Where was it at? Oh, dang it. Who was it? Said that he must be an idiot too, because he didn't know who he was.
Oh, yeah, Jack.
Jack. Yeah, it was Jack.
Well, and that's the thing is like, you can be very big in your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
But that sphere can still be very small.
Well, and you just never cross paths with some people.
Right. And being maybe stronger in, say, machine automation, laser, CNC, you might not branch out into general making and know some of the people. I mean, I have had a strong interest in woodworking and creation for a long time. And so, you know, I've been following a lot of these other just general making woodworking channels for a long time. And so they're probably a little more recognizable to me.
Well,
it's part of my wide angle lens that I kind of keep an eye on. But I couldn't tell you the past 20 videos he's made because I haven't followed him as much directly there. But yeah, it's just one of those things that's kind of in that sphere, very famous. Outside of it, it's an average Joe walking down the street that no one's going to recognize.
Yeah. Well, my thing is I guess because I stay so busy here in the shop and doing stuff, my bubble of what I take in on YouTube is kind of small. It's very limited to, you know, the machines that I run and the things that I do. And maybe if I had more free time, or if I was, you know, had a chance to sit down, maybe I can get into more stuff. But right now, that's where I kind of hang out. And so, I guess I just missed them. Greg over there saying, hey, we got to hang out with Greg over at Workbench Con 2. He seemed to be everywhere. Like Greg you would turn around, and he was there.
Yep.
It was like he was teleporting from one side of the thing to the other, because everywhere you looked, he was there. And I think he actually got to take a 150, one of the new 150s.
He got a little upgrade with the new Elite.
Yeah, we threatened to mug him in the parking lot.
No. We offered to help him.
Well, we were going to help him load it.
We were going to help him.
We were going to load it in a truck for him.
But we just didn't say which truck.
Yeah, we just did. But he felt as though it was better for him to load it himself. Yeah. And
But yeah, for me, it was great getting to meet people like Greg. I obviously chatted with him over the time through here and such. And this is one of it's funny. My wife always tells you, like, well, go have fun with your internet friends, because a lot of times there's these people that they're like, Cody was that way. I knew
he's not even sure they exist.
I mean, I knew Cody for 3-4 years. We chat a lot online. I bought bits from him, had him on the
you done talked him up.
Yeah, I brought him there. Had him on the show as our first guest a number of months ago.
Yeah, he was officially our first guest, co-star or whatever.
And now, just a couple months apart, I get to hang out with him twice. So it's been and
cool. you even shared a sickness with him.
Not this time, but yeah.
Cody, so far he hasn't been sick. So if you get sick this time, I'm gonna have to defend him. It's probably not Steve.
But yeah.
Probably the impaler. So Cody not sick this time. So you gotta watch him. You gotta watch Steve. He's like patient zero over here.
No, patient zero is you, remember?
Well, that's what y'all claim, but I never got sick. I never felt bad. Y'all all got sick around me.
Asymptomatic carrier. That's what patient
I don't
zero
think I got sick. Kim and Garrett didn't get sick. I was around them too. Well, there you go. See it. There's my fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my voice too.
Every day. It was like, Cody, how's your voice doing? He was hopping around as well too. Just jumping on it. But it was a good few days. And so more to come from that, both just individually on our channels with some things that we thought would be interesting for our shops, things that thought would be interesting to bring back for all of you that might be looking at some of these technologies. And that's part of our goal. And that's some of what we were talking with some of the manufacturers about. Is like, I just want to know more about what you have to offer, so that because our explanation for them is like, we don't want to just pick one vendor and say they're the cat's meow for everything. We want to know really what it is about
the pros and the cons of every machine. Because I actually found out something this weekend that I did not know, and believe it or not, I found this out from a competitor of Shipoko of Carbide about the voltage. The reason that the Shipokos advertised as a 1200 watt spindle instead of a 1500 is to keep the amp draw, sustainable inside residential wiring, instead of having to have a special, circuitry or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because it is possible with the machine to, if you've got something else running on the plug, to trip a breaker on a 20 amp circuit with this machine if you don't kind of regulate that stuff. And so there's a lot of different pros and cons of these machines that, I thought that might actually be a disadvantage, but in reality, it's kind of an advantage to the typical user that's just going to put it in their garage, because now you don't have to worry about wiring your house differently or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into these different machines, and it's I say it's interesting. I do like being able to look at them from overhead and get all the goods and bads.
Okay.
Dixie's asking about a question for two of y'all. The OhmTech, if I want to buy a CO2 and then a fiber, which ones do y'all recommend? Money is an object. I would hope so. It usually is. So which ones will be the best that y'all will do most things? There's a lot goes into that decision, in my opinion. What materials you're going to do. Of course, you said budget matters. So that's going to be a big consideration. How portable do you need it to be? How much area do you have it to sit? Is this going to be something that you can vent Is it going to require venting? Do you already have a venting, solution for it? Because even with galvos and stuff like that, you're gonna have to have some type of exhaust inside a house. So there's a lot more goes into it, but we've got plenty of videos on the stuff. I will tell you, from if you're a new user and you're on a budget, like with some of the X-Tool stuff, they're a little pricey, but a lot of that is because they do kind of help make things a little simpler when you're first getting into it. But like I said, I've got other machines as well. There's lots of good ones out there. So it's just do your homework. Just do lots of homework. And then if you want to know if a machine does something, you can ask that and we can tell you. But as far as telling you which machine's best for you without knowing all of the details, me or Steve, either one, aren't comfortable, and they really can't say for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the size of your products that you're wanting to make and the projects you want to do is going to be a big factor there. And then a little bit also the thickness of the material. I mean, if you're talking OhmTech CO2s, about the only one I would stay away from, and not because of OhmTech or anything, but the K40 size from any brand is really, at this point, probably not a wise one to start out with. But from there, if you're looking for something that's more compact and all in one, you probably want to look more at the Polar Plus, like Clack has had a few videos on. But that's also going to have some limitations in size, from, like, if you want to do taller objects and cylindrical things with rotary, it's going to be a little limiting there. And that's when you might want to get into a bigger cabinet machine. But when you get into those bigger cabinet machines, delivery becomes a little more of a hassle, because it comes in a crate and a freight truck. Depending on the driver, you may have it just dropped at the end of your driveway, or they may help you at least wheel it in anywhere they can get their pallet jack. But the complexity of them goes up a little bit, and then it's more of what features can you afford to add. If you can get one of them that has like a red dot or a beam combiner, that's going to help you out in the mirror alignment, because you won't have to worry about pulsing and paper or tape over each one. You can kind of just adjust from the red dot, but it's an added expense to look at. Autofocus, some people love it, some people disable it and hate it. That's not something I would necessarily require. I'd say it's great, but having a motorized Z-bed is a nice feature.
It's very nice.
Because you just have buttons versus maybe a knob or a crank that you're lifting things up and down on. The other thing would be to consider is the power of the tube that you need. If you're just working with thinner material, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and it's lightweight material, 50-60 watt machine is going to be fine. It'll do a lot of engraving and decent cutting. But if you're doing bigger objects and maybe have a larger variety of material, might be getting into more hardwoods, you're going to appreciate having a little more power. But also understand that as you go up in power, the spot size of that beam is going to go up, and so you're going to lose a little bit of detail in the fine engraving. So that's kind of in a nutshell some of the things I would worry about and think about with CO2s. We do try to go a little more in depth in some of our videos on the specific machines. But OhmTech's a pretty decent kind of prosumer hobby, small business getting started. You could obviously spend more, and you might get some better local support, but the price can go up pretty steep to get that. But hopefully that starts answering the question, gives you a little more clarity on that. And then as far as the other part of your question with the fiber,
start with the CO2, and in my opinion.
But I mean, if you want some guidance on the fiber, if you just want to mark metals, any 20 watt is going to go fine for you. But when you want to start getting into depth of cuts, or if you're wanting to try to be playing around with, like the 3D coins that people are making, first off, know they take some time. Secondly, if you want them to not take a lot of time, power is what you're looking at, higher power there.
Yeah, more horsepower equals quicker turnaround.
So I would say ideally, if you can, with a fiber, you're going to be a little more restricted, and it's going to be less. It's more focused on metals and some plastics. I would save up until you really know what you're going to do and try to get at minimum 50 or 60 watt.
Yeah. Well, my thing is if you're on a budget, which, I mean, she did say that budget was a concern, the CO2 is going to probably be able to get you, like we talked about earlier, it's going to get you into the market, get you a machine to use to start creating things, making things. If you're using Lightburn, you're learning the software. But you can take a CO2 and you can do anything from tumblers to wooden stuff to acrylics, all those different things, and learn your business and build your trade. And then you can buy a little nicer machine and kind of hold off on the fiber until you get to that point to where, okay, I've got this business figured out, and now I've got these metallic or anodized projects that I want to do, and I need a fiber, because there's a lot more items out there that you can do with a 12 by 20 CO2 than there is that you can do with a 5 or 6 inch square fiber. So fibers to me are very like unique. So if I was just getting started, I would concentrate with the CO2 or the blue to do the wood stuff, because wood stuff is pretty easy to get started with.
But the follow-up is they're planning to buy them both right off. So the rough thing is, and Jack can attest to it, as he said, 56-year water hire on both, and kind of go from there with what the features are.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see.
Trade Skiller JR, it was great meeting you.
Yeah, I
had some great late night chats with you and a few other people, and so really glad you came out. It's always fun to put a face with a screen name, and so yeah. I know. I think you had some long Ubers back from the hotel bar, but
yeah, we kept him up. We kept him up a little late.
But yeah, very very great to see you too, and thanks for hanging out and having fun, giving and getting advice.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really cool to see, because a lot of folks don't really want you critiquing them or saying, what you don't like about them or whatever, which, now keep in mind, it's a balance. You don't want to be slamming people, but it's good to hear other people's opinion of how we're doing and stuff like that. And like I said, JR was I felt like he was being sincere in some of his statements and stuff. And so it's good to know that, the content that we make is, at least some folks are appreciating it, because the ones that don't appreciate it are always there to let us know that they don't appreciate it.
Well,
there's no shortage of that.
Some of them are very vocal about it.
There's no shortage of that.
I'm sure there are others that just move on, but
Steve B wants to know, did you get 3D scanned? I didn't.
No. And it's one of the funny things is that even though this was nowhere as big as, say, like, CES or these others, it was in a fairly I mean, it's not the smallest event I've been to, but wasn't by any means the largest. But there were so many things going on around you that a lot of times that, I'm scrolling through my Instagram, Facebook, going, I'm like, well, I didn't even know this person was there, and you're walking around talking to a bunch of people. And so I did see afterwards that, people were doing some 3D scanning.
Yeah, I saw the machine. I'm guessing it was either 3D. Was that a camera? Or
that was just a 360.
I thought that was that camera, like the
there was another person that had like a handheld 3D scanner.
Oh, okay. Well, I plan on getting me a 3D scanner eventually, but I can't figure out which one I want.
So unfortunately, you missed that.
Because what I want to do is I want to get me a 3D scanner to where I can do like a statue of Steve over here somewhere, like maybe like make it look like he's trying to escape from a wall or something, kind of like one of those what was it, one of the videos, the shows where the guy like froze like that, and that'd be kind of cool. I can get rid of Steve on a stand over there and actually have a statue of Steve.
Han Solo and carbonite thing.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, Diggs is asking, do you generally sell custom things or sell pre-made things? And that depends. In the evolution of the shack, I started out doing a lot of pre-made things because I just want to get my name out there, and I didn't have a lot of customers requesting custom things because it takes a while to build a customer base, especially like where I live in a small town. The best advertisement is through other people that you do jobs for. And that seems to be where all my work comes from, but it takes a little while for that to build up. So I started out doing like ready-made keychains, doing craft fairs and events and stuff like that, like where they would have events in the street. I would set up and make keychains, and then I would do custom keychains on the site. I still do that and enjoy doing it to get out and meet people and so forth. But to be honest with you, my game has kind of shifted to a lot of business to business sales. So the money that I make at the events now, where it used to, that was like a big deal, because one, I was trying to make a little bit of money, and two, I wanted to get those customers so that I could start getting that word of mouth going of, hey, this guy can make custom stuff, and like he made this keychain for me, and it's engraved custom, whatever. I was trying to get that ball rolling, and so the way to do that was the small, easy, pick them up, quick things, because especially at shows and events, people don't want to have to wait an hour for something. They want to be able to pick it up and it be done, or pick it up and maybe 5 minutes and it's done, or pick it up, pay for it, and come back in 10 minutes and pick it up. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to take a long time. But while you're at those events doing those small things, people will be like, hey, can you make this? And they'll show you pictures or whatever. And typically my answer is, yes, I can make most anything you want. And if you'll email me, and I'll give them one of my cards, if you'll email me, just give me a good description of what you want and maybe a couple of photos to kind of go by, I'll email you back. We'll discuss it later when we both got more time. And that's when I get that next week sale. And so that I did a lot. I was heavy in that in the beginning. Now it's gotten to where the word has spread, being involved in the community. Chamber of Commerce. I was actually awarded the new business of the year for last year here in my county, which helped because I was on the newspaper. I was in like the Chamber of Commerce sent this thing out saying, congratulations to the Clack Shack. And so then people were like, well, who's he? What does he do? The ones that didn't know me. And so that helps. I mean, I got a couple of orders this week. Steve can attest to the fact that I've got stuff piled up over here, like orders that are like half done. We were working on some tonight because it word spreading. And so that's where the smaller ready-made stuff comes into play. But the good money is in custom, like one-offs, but in the beginning, just take what you can get. Do what you can to get the word out there and make some money.
Yep. Yeah. You kind of have to start there, and then you can kind of see where your business is really heading. Mark's asking, what do you think of the new X-Tool metal machine? I saw that posted. We were just leaving here. I think we got breakfast and I maybe noticed a post. So honestly, haven't gone through kind of the preview material. Sounds like it's a laser welder and maybe a I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe a some sort of cutting machine. It'll be interesting. So one thing, when we were at XCS, or when we were at CES, and talking with Jason and the X-Tool team, they did mention they were bringing out 6 to 7 new machines this year, and part of his bigger goal is to provide tools for makers of all types that they can do in their small business in their homes. And I think that's what you're starting to see. They've got the apparel printer, the DTF kind of printer that just was announced last month and has been coming out, and now this one. So I think you're going to see X-Tool branch out a lot more from just kind of their core lasers starting this year. And but as far as what do we think of it, we really haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, I know Steve told me they had announced it and other people had mentioned it, but we've been going, guys. Like I said, we would go to sleep after midnight and get up at like 8 o'clock slowly. Get up at 8 o'clock, go eat breakfast. Usually we were talking to people at breakfast, and then we had not the classes, but the speakers and everything at the event. So it was a very busy few days. But you don't want to, especially when you're going over there to try to network, you kind of want to talk to everybody you can, and you can't talk to everybody, but you do want to get out there and then you wind up meeting guys like JR or whatever and sitting down having conversations, and great conversations. But I'm bad to get sucked into one, and we'll go down a rabbit hole and be there for hours, and then you're like, oh wow, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and we've been sitting here talking. So it'll drain you after a few days.
Yeah, there was some glue.
Oh my gosh. Every time we went by and they're like, hey, y'all want some free glue? Steve's like, heck yeah. You can't have too many glues.
Well, I think they were taken aback when I was starting to probe them with too many questions. They're like, yeah, man, there's just glue.
Yeah. He's like, well, what is it? What is the molecular structure and the drying time? And and then they're like, hey, you want some of this free glue? And he's like, sure. You got a bag? And you're like, oh, never mind. Just keep walking. Oh me, it was a mess. But I think that one bottle that I brought in, I told Steve, I've had to dedicate a whole shelf on my little thing over here that I built to glue, because every time we have a live, he's like, oh yeah, if you don't have this glue in your shop, you're missing out. And so far, I think I'm up to like 14 different glues.
I may have invested in a few glue companies, I'm just secretly trying to get you to support them.
You bought stock in a glue company. Yeah.
But
what is best bang for your buck project?
So that's kind of funny.
The market depends. It's different.
Here's my generalization, and this is kind of a conversation we had a little bit on the way home.
So we talked about this.
Anytime you can find a niche product where, especially if you were the only one who has made it, something very unique, but that there's enough of an appeal out there that it's got a fairly broad audience, you're going to have a window there where you can kind of control that. And so I've had products in the past where my markup, when you consider supplies and my time and all the the packaging and whatnot, I still had like a 300% markup on it. And then from there, it was an item that I sold as a kit, but some people were like, hey, I'd like to buy it assembled. Well, then I almost doubled I charged them double for it. So those are the things to look for. Outside of that, I would say then it's kind of a variation on a theme. So you take the typical catch-all tray or like a bottle opener or something that the average person could use, but you gear it towards, say, if you're going to a marathon, have some sort of like themed thing around that's local, or it's about the event if you can, or if it's like I've done some, these are more charity things, but I think we both have done this, like with humane societies and rescues, you offer like pet tag things, and maybe you do it as a discount thing, like here's give
pet stuff is big.
Yeah. But anytime, get out of the generic, try not to be competing with what everybody can do. The more local you can do it and keying in there, that'll help as well. So, but it's not so much any one specific item, it's how you customize it and make it unique.
Yeah, it is a labyrinth. And like I said, every area is different. Like some areas, one item may be hot, selling off the shelves, and then you drive 2 hours to another community and they won't buy any. So you've got to kind of get out there and figure out what sells. You can look around if you're trying to sell on the internet, you can look on Etsy and places like that of what's selling the most. But if you're trying to get started, most people are going to start in the community in which they live. A lot of times it's like charity events for schools and churches and nonprofit groups and stuff like that. Those are good places to get exposure. And sometimes, you can get to those events, do small jobs, make a little bit of money, and just get your name out there. Because there comes a point too to where if your name is well known enough, you can bump your prices up a little bit, because by then you're kind of like the John Deere, you know what I mean, of laser engraving. Yeah. Just because a John Deere, the tractor may not be a bit better than this other tractor, but because it's named John Deere, people associate that with being better, and they're going to pay a little more. Harley Davidson, same thing. Branding and which branding is basically reputation in that sense. Your reputation you can sometimes get a little bit more money when you're brand new and you're starting out. You don't have that advantage a lot of times. The market's going to push you a little bit down because you're competing against those people that are known if they exist. So it is a slippery slope with thousands of variables. And like my situation and Steve's situation is different, because what I look for in my business is different than what Steve looks for. So we're going to target different things,
So this is a new hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
You want to explain it to him?
It is specially imported from across the pond,
from the UK,
from our good friend.
Are we supposed to say that?
I think it's fine to
say.
Well,
we don't know that it was imported. Steve's just assuming, not to get anybody in trouble.
It falls under the gift clause.
Okay, all right.
Our friend James Dean over there, though, he's working on a new project, and yeah, there's gonna be more coming out about this. I've
got one too, but mine's in the house in the laundry. So yeah, I didn't wear mine, but yeah, James is working on something pretty cool for you guys, especially those of you that are either brand new to CNCing or are thinking about jumping into CNC. We talked with him about it.
Well, we talked about him too.
Yeah, we did talk about him too. We're talking about him now. But we talked to him about what he's got going on. It's going to be something pretty cool. I think you guys will be interested in it. It's unique and it's going to really come in handy for, like I said, folks that are new to CNCs or getting a different CNC or just getting into it. It's going to be a very valuable tool. And as soon as it's ready, as soon as he's got everything lined up, Steve and I are going to help spread the word, and we're going to test it, play with it, and help him in the latter part of it, get it out there and get it in your guys' hands so that you can start using it. But it's going to be pretty cool. And I don't know how much he wants us to tell, or we would go into more, but just know that it's going to be something pretty cool.
I'd just like to point out that Radu the Impaler has a good point.
I mean, he knows his glue. He's got a glue fetish, guys. I mean, like if there was like a OnlyFans glue page to where it was like pictures of glue, I think Steve would sign up for it. Like he has a glue fetish.
No, I'm a connoisseur.
Yeah, like some people go to wine tastings. I kid you not, guys.
Now you make it sound like I have a worse problem.
I kid you not. You know how people go to wine tastings and you see it on TV and they like slosh it around and then they smell it and then they drink it and they slosh it around. Well, Steve's the same way with glue. Like he'll get the glue, he'll open it and he'll smell of it.
No, there's no. I do check the viscosity and other things. I'm looking at their, the kickers elements, things like that. When it's a CA accelerator. And
do you or do you not read the ingredients on glue?
Yes.
See,
you gotta know what's in it.
There you go, guys. I'm telling you, if he had like a pocket side mass spectrometer that he could like drip it in and go, oh yeah, I see here your ingredients are blah 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 blah, and he would have one in his pocket. Oh. He'd be like some CSI guy. This glue here was imported from. Oh man.
Yeah.
It was fun times though, because every time we bought by glue, I'd just make fun of him. I think I may have even took a picture or two of him drooling over some glue. So, yeah, it was funny. Oh,
Gray Viking, I can report that Biscuit seems to be doing very well outside of a couple small things.
Yeah, he's recovered well from his surgery because we were worried that with Rogue, my female German Shepherd, being female and spring was upon us, we were kind of worried that, not knowing Biscuit's medical history, whether he had been properly disabled in the reproductive regions. So I took him and got some work done, took him to the vet. So I guess he's officially my dog now because I dropped $300 and something getting his medicals up. So we got him fixed to try to control, his ability to reproduce. We're hoping the vet knew what they were doing because it is spring and Rogue apparently it's that time. So we're hoping that if not, I'm taking a basket of puppies and I'm dropping them off at the vet's office and telling them I want a refund and here's your puppies because I did not want puppies. So in the event that we were not successful in having him treated and preventing puppies, there will be some Clack Shack puppies possibly available for free. we may even meet you halfway to get rid of them if I can't. I'm hoping it worked though. Yeah, but he's very happy.
He's very happy. Loves to dig. Smells a little bit like dead things.
Yeah, he likes to roll in dead stuff. And he did break the cat door.
And he broke the cat door.
I've had to order a new cat door because apparently sometime while we were gone, he was trying to get into the shack through the cat door, which is only like 8 inches by 8 inches. So all he can get is like his head and his neck. But somehow or another, the cat door has been destroyed. And I don't think the cats did it. So I've had to order a new cat door. So
I need to look up someone's asking for James' channel. I'm going to grab it really quick.
They calling it out, Steve. They're calling it out.
What's that?
He makes fun of me talking about how hot it is down here.
it's a psychological thing, right? It's barely March. It's February. I'm supposed to be cold. I'm not. But it's funny. I was driving down here, and admittedly, it's been kind of warm in Minnesota. Well, it was really cold about a week and a half ago, and then it warmed up, and it's been really warm while I've been gone. And now I might be driving back home into a snowstorm. But so it has been warm up there. But I got down here. I'm driving across Mississippi into Alabama, and the temp keeps going. It's like 65. It's 70. It's 75. I'm like, okay, let's turn the heat off. It's 80. I'm like, all right, we got to turn the AC on.
Yeah, he's sending me screenshots going, it's 80 degrees down here. I'm like, welcome to Bama.
So, but I have a really light t-shirt on under this. And so we're in and out of the shop, and, the cat door's open. There's a little breeze coming in. So it's still a little.
Yeah, now it's down to 63 in here.
Yeah.
But, and as I've told Steve, though, the cold's different down here. He don't believe me, but it is different down here. I'm gonna try to get James's.
I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, well, never mind.
Putting it in right now.
But yeah, James is a good guy. Like I said, he has a bit of an accent because he's from England and we're not, or UK or whatever you want to call it there. We did learn something today, that you can make projects from materials that you find in a skip. That's right, a skip.
Yep.
And I think me and Steve both were like, "Oh, what?" We kind of looked at each other. But apparently, in the UK, the term skip refers to like a dumpster or something like that. So basically, because the way it came out was there was something that was made on the table at the Carvera place, and he's like, "Yeah, we made that using a piece of material we found in the skip." And we're like, "The what?" Me and Steve were kind of like, "What?" And it took them a minute because him and the guy there were both from the UK. And we're like, "What is a skip?" And they're like, "Oh, it's like what you would call a dumpster." So yeah, it was like, "Oh, okay. So it's recycled, rescued materials."
Now, in fairness, I learned another new term today as well.
Yeah, he did. He learned this one here.
Yeah.
Argued about it. So we had to break down. We had to go to Google. Hey, and he was about to mess up because he was arguing with Brandy, and I've got 30-something years of experience in that arena. You don't argue with that woman.
I mean, I'm not.
You're gonna lose.
I don't know about arguing.
She picks her battles well. She's not gonna argue with. She's not gonna stand up to you if she's wrong.
But apparently, this is not a long wooden sled that looks like a hook, otherwise known as a toboggan.
It's a toboggan.
I have never heard one of these called a toboggan. A toboggan is a sled thing that you go sliding on.
You can Google it.
You can. I've been educated, much like I could go skip diving and find good wood.
But yeah, me and Brandy were like, "Oh, you got a nice new toboggan," and he's like, "Oh, what?" And he's like looking around like a wooden sled.
I know you guys had snow down here.
So who all calls it a toboggan? I know y'all guys from the South. I know you guys do. Now, some of the folks over in like Chris over in Australia, they might have that. Chris says spin the wheel for some Clack Shack puppies. Hey, I'm telling you, if we have to, we'll do that to get rid of them.
That giveaway night's gonna be lit.
We're hoping that's not a thing, but we'll see.
A question from okay, I can't read DD 10. Okay, that
D-Diggs. I think it's D-Diggs.
There you go. Thoughts on Harbor Freight tools?
They're good for a budget.
Well, so there are some real gems at Harbor Freight. There are some things to stay away from. But they've also been coming out with their Bauer line and their Hercules line, and those are actually kind of up there in quality. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for kind of a decent dust collector, not necessarily just a shop vac, but like a dust collector with some HEPA filtering and things like that, their Hercules version is actually somewhat decent. It's up there in about the $300 range, which is about the same price as Rockler's one that came out, but it's not quite the cost of, say, a Festool, and even, I mean, Fine makes a nice one that's up in that $400 range, but there are some gems to get there. To be honest, a lot of those tools are going to be probably right up there with your Ryobis and your Rigids, even your DeWalts. I know you're going to hate me for saying that, but
I mean, I've bought things at Harbor Freight. There's a jack and a couple of jack stands and all kind. I mean,
aren't those the ones that were recalled? For
no, I don't have those. Those are different ones.
But yeah, no, we've got one in town, and like I say, I use them. I mean, they're a great place to get, you know, the nitrile gloves that, you know, you stock up on those. And I don't know if I'd buy my glue there.
He's like really protective about where he gets his glue.
But no, I like anything, do a little bit of research on it, check it out. And in some cases, they've got some really inexpensive warranties that are literally like, I got a scratch on it, and they want, you know, I go swap it out. But you
well,
know.
they got some pretty cool, like the toolboxes, kind of like the one that I got.
Oh
over
yeah,
there. Like this table here, kind of like this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff. What is it? The General,
U.S. General,
U.S. General, or whatever.
And you look at some of the reviews on those. Sometimes they've got better, you know, the slides along the sides. They're sometimes better than like the Husky brands. Okay, I'm actually kind of getting warm with this on.
It's starting to get hot. All right, Dixie May. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, UA or LA. I'm in Alabama, not Louisiana, unless you're talking about Alabama or Auburn or whatever. Which I
upper Alabama or lower Alabama?
I don't know.
No.
I'm in the middle of Alabama.
You're in Central. You're like,
if you're asking about a football team, I really have no preference. Oh, Grace want me to bring the backpack in, but I left it in the house. Let's see, what else was there? There was something else that you need to tell everybody, or were you going to say that a surprise? Your newest dust collector?
Well, we'll see on that one.
Okay, we're going to save that one.
Have I had any real southern Alabama food yet? Well, okay. Southern food, yeah. I've been coming down here off and on for the past 10 years, and
as southern as we can get you to get.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. I've been coming down to the South before I've known you, and I'll try some things once. Some things never. But that doesn't mean I'm going to try them a second time if it was just that bad the first time. But when I was here last year, yeah, Clack took me to some of the local places. We had some good barbecue.
I offered him chicken livers,
and even the waitress said, "Ugh." So when the waitress says, "Ugh," I tend to stay away from them.
Oh man.
We did. Now we don't have. I know these aren't quite southern. We stopped for what should have been breakfast and almost turned into dinner by the time we got our food.
Yeah, we had a bad experience at a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah,
I've never had a bad experience at a Cracker Barrel until today.
Oh, is that what you're talking about? My new shop vac?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see how that comes. Yeah.
You're being a little slow today.
Well, there was the other thing that's related to shop vacs that I was possibly working on too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I was talking about the one that you purchased today.
Yeah. Well, it was a good deal. I have never seen a.
Oh, it's the cheapest. That is the cheapest dust collection I've ever seen.
It is. So we'll see. We'll see. I got to see if it still works up in Minnesota.
But Steve's gonna have a surprise for you guys. It's like it's the cheapest dust collection system you can buy. I can guarantee you.
Possibly in more ways than one.
Yeah, I guarantee you it's the cheapest dust collection system you can buy.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see what he does with that. What's up? AGT said he's just here listening, and that's cool. Hey, I do that a lot. I listen more than I watch because I'm usually busy because I'm very hyperactive.
Would you believe that out of all the hype and the push for this, the backpack came along, but never got turned on while he was walking around?
No, I turned it on for half a day. I run the battery down on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never saw it. The walking billboard with my face on it.
Yeah, I wore it for like half a day, and the battery died because I'd forgot to charge it before we went over. And I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna wear it because by the time it got charged, it was about time to come home. And I'm
many people thought it was pretty cool, but
oh yeah, there were several folks that thought it was the coolest backpack they'd ever seen, and I have to agree with them. It's pretty cool.
So. Yeah, it seems like most everybody but Southerners agree that it's a,
I'm telling
it's
you.
a hat, it's a beanie, it's a toque. That must be Canadian-ish. Stocking hat.
Canadian.
Those. You say anything like that, beanie. But toboggan. You ask me what a toboggan is. I'm telling you, it's about a 6 to 8 foot long wooden sled with a hook up front.
No, it's hey. We have proven it.
Okay, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I've lived here for a long time, and that's what we've called it since I was a kid. So, I mean, there's that.
Sharon has spoken. End of story.
Sharon's spoken. Hey, Sharon, it is what where's North Alabama? I know that's what they call it up there because he's in Alabama, or at least that's where he's from. He's probably somewhere out of state right now, but yeah, it's been a heck of a week. Dixie May said you need to try some chitlins. We don't really have there are places around that serve those, but those are kind of going away in the restaurant arena. I mean, I know of a couple of soul food places you can still get them, but they're not in my county. So,
yeah, I don't think we have Cracker Barrels in Minnesota. If we do, they're very few and far between. So I've only been to a few of them. The good one I've been to, or that was at least decent, was in Central Illinois.
Yeah, so, Brent said it's a Toboggan. He lives near here too. So,
but see,
I'm telling you,
you guys don't even wear them down here.
We do when it gets real cold. Keep our ears warm.
Okay.
And bald people wear them more than people with hair.
All right. Well, yeah, I learned something today.
Yeah, I mean, I've got several of them in the house. Like I like the Carhartt ones because just it's usually what I wear, Carhartt stuff.
Yep. But so,
wow, we're caught up on comments.
We did.
That is awesome.
So with all the chatter of our experience at Workbench Con and whatnot,
they Chuck said they wear them down in Florida too.
But
especially when they get 10 inches of snow.
Yeah, right.
They got more snow in Florida than you've got in your house.
You guys got more snow. Like, yeah, we've only
That's what I'm saying. You keep talking about how y'all got like snow toboggans and all this, but yet y'all can't even beat New Orleans on inches of snow. I'm just saying, are y'all really? I mean, is it really snowy and cold up there?
Right here, right now, no. But we've had a good 18 inches so far.
Yeah, it's pretty bad that the people in New Orleans have shoveled more snow this year than you. That's kind of sad, Steve.
I don't think they have.
Sad. No, they didn't shovel it. They just gave it like 2 days and it melted.
Yeah.
That's the way it works here.
So, but yeah, so normally I'm not down here in Alabama. Normally I'm up in Minnesota. And we do have a viewer map. It's linked in both of our channels.
See, there's North Alabama. It says it's Toboggan.
Nice. We do have a viewer map. The link's down below if you want to check that out. There's a Google Doc or a Google form. If you want to add your, maybe your business name or your screen name or your normal name, and then your city, state, or a city and province, or
you can literally just drop a pin close to you. It doesn't have to be on top of you.
They don't get to drop a pin. They just have to put something.
Well, yeah, the address.
Yeah, or a landmark that's near you. We like to keep that up to date. As a matter of fact, I need to go in there and update it here because I have to manually run that.
Fix to try to pull it up. I'll show you here.
But it's kind of a cool thing that we have. We also have a laser engraving community that's grown out of this live stream. So if you're new here or haven't checked that out, there's a Facebook group where we continue the conversation. People can ask questions and add pictures to them. So we love to grow that. Continue. We try to keep it to creative types questions and not so much like advertisements for things, but that's another thing we have combined with our channels. We'd love to see continued growth there. So and then if you're here for my channel and you don't know who this guy is, I got a link down there to his YouTube. And then if you're here from Clax and you don't know who I am, he's got a link down to mine. And then of course off of ours, our socials. So there's probably not as much as I thought I might do. Some of these events I go to, I get kind of just into the networking and such, and I don't always get all the photos and the videos. But we did post a few updates like on Instagram and such and Facebook. So if you want to kind of get some behind the scenes stuff when we're on trips like this or when we're working on projects, that's a good way to do it there. So
yeah, well, here's this is the map that we've got, guys, on the screen that I've got going on here. So this is everybody that has joined the map, that has shared their location with us. And I think it's pretty cool because if you look, we've actually got some folks over here in New Zealand. and you can click, and if they've shared their name or their screen name or their business name or whatever, it'll show up over here, and then a general location, that they put in here will be there. So that's pretty cool. You got, let's see, where's Chris? He's in Perth, right there. I think that's Chris. Yeah, Chris is over here in Australia. So that way, when you see these folks in here talking, you can actually kind of figure out where everybody's at. We've got some folks over here. I can't what Eddie, yeah, over here in Japan. And then it's just really neat. Then you got over here in what is that? South Africa. You got Easy Up. And like we've actually got quite a little like pocket of folks right over here. These are probably some of James Dean's folks. I'm sure they know who he is, and so it's pretty cool. We've got all 50 states now. There was a little while there that we didn't have Alaska, and what was the other one we didn't have?
Nevada
for a little while.
Last ones.
And I think Nevada was the last one that we penciled in, but we now have viewers in all 50 states. Which is pretty cool. Got some, quite a few in Canada. You got some like Russia, Puerto Rico, down here in some of the Central American areas, which is cool. And so this just gives you an idea of the reach, and it is very awesome because like when we go places or whatever, we can kind of look and see, hey, how many people live in this town where we are, and because we try to put out information on where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. So that's kind of cool. So there's Greg. I guess is that Greg STL Woodworking, I wonder. I know he is in Georgia. So there's lots of folks sharing the location, and we do have a little form, and this is what you put in there. You can put your name here. If you have a business name and that's what you want to put on there instead of your personal name, feel free to do so. And then like the address or location that you want to put, and this doesn't have to be your home address. This could literally be a store at the end of the street, your post office, city hall. We don't care. Just to give us an idea of what part of the world you're in. And like I said, when we come through, like when we travel and go places, we can actually pull this up and see if there's, a pocket of people viewing the channels or whatever there. And if there is, we can maybe try to have lunch with you guys or something like that. So it's just a really cool tool, Look at that. Wait a minute. We got Hawaii. So we got some folks over there, Clayton over there in Hawaii, and L. Foster. It's cool that I can remember a lot of these names. I recognize these names. So go put your name on the map, and that way we'll know where everybody's at. So there you go.
And I just learned that we do have some Cracker Barrels in Minnesota.
Do you?
At least one. Yeah, there's one at least one up in the Twin Cities.
See, there we go.
I'll admit it's since it's not in the normal places I go, it's not something I look for when I'm out and about. But so Tim's wondering what's under the green tarp.
2 more days, guys. 2 more days. Steve kind of I won't say he broke into the shop because I actually let him in the shop, but Steve peaked. He's been playing with the machine and he peaked. So but I've had to make him take an oath until the 4th. The 4th of this month is when it's going to be released. It's pretty cool. It's got some things that I haven't seen before. And so far, it's definitely worth a look. So,
and I did post a picture of it on your page.
Yeah, he posted a picture. So
the only one you'd let me
if you want to go look at it. It looks like you threw your phone. So, but it'll be coming out here in a couple of days. So give us a couple of days. It's one of those. It's a machine that you haven't seen. I can guarantee you haven't seen it. You may have, if you know what you're looking for and where to look. There is some mention of it, but there's no pictures or anything out there yet. So they've actually kept this one quiet pretty well. I'm shocked.
Yep.
So, but I can't release anything until the 4th after the company whose machine it is makes it public, and then y'all get to see my little preliminary view of it, as well as Steve's going to have a review that he's been working on today of the machine. So it'll be something cool.
Yeah. I'm actually supposed to get one of these hopefully in a few weeks. So won't be ready for when they launch it later this week. But since I was here, took the opportunity to grab some information, or at least to share my initial thoughts on it with you as well. So a couple more days and hopefully the curtain will be lifted.
Yeah. But
Craig's wondering who's got the biggest mosquitoes, Alabama or Minnesota. And this is the thing where I'm going to say it's not about the it's the quantity, not the quality.
Quantity when it comes to mosquitoes, quantity matters.
Yeah, quantity matters. And there are parts of Minnesota that are just sheer swampland, and
I think it depends on the time of the year. Like right now, Alabama's got more, I'm sure.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Up in Minnesota, it's like in fall you get that first freeze, and it's great because it kills a lot of the bugs, and then you get that about 6 hours of nice fall weather before winter comes in. And then kind of the flip thing. It's like the snow finally melts. You get that 60-degree day. You open up the windows and doors. You're like, oh, this is great. And then pretty soon you're like, the heck? How are they out so fast?
Yeah, mosquitoes. I think the lifespan of a mosquito must not be very long because they go from like non-existent to grown like quick.
Yep.
Robert's asking another question. I'll let you take this one because I gotta have something to drink.
Any more information regarding Millmage? No, other than we can confirm it's not a myth. It does control machines. It does look a lot like Lightburn. There's a lot of information on the screen. There's a lot of options there. And that it will be coming out very soon.
They wouldn't commit to a date.
That's the most detailed information we got on the release.
Yeah, they wouldn't commit to a date, but I mean, I saw it moving a 3018, engraving some dog tags. So it's, I guess, semi-functional. I don't know how well, but it was moving a machine. So
Klondike, good to see you. If anyone's interested in, especially geared around trains, but small like model making type things around bridges and buildings and such, because it's related to train work and such, definitely follow Klondike over there. He has some fun, pops up some live streams. Again, it's related to trains, but he does a lot with lasers and 3D printers. So definitely go check him out. But good to see you here tonight.
The JR, the links should be in the description on mine and Steve's, but I just dropped it again if you want to click on that. There's also a link to actually view the map if you want to look at it and see, who's in your area. And one thing too that I think that the map, and we talked about this before, the cool thing about the map too is if you're, let's say you want to try to get with some folks, maybe you've got a job that you want to give to somebody, or just want to kind of network with somebody in your area that does laser stuff, you might be able to actually pull that map up and see that there's somebody in your area. And if there is, then you can go to the Laser Engraver community page, which is our Facebook page, and actually, ask, hey, is anybody in this area? We've actually had situations like that where, somebody needed a lens or needed a mirror for their machine or something like that. And they were able to connect with somebody else and kind of borrow one until they could get more. I know Brent Shepard lives near me, and he's actually had that emergency situation with, I've cracked my lens and I didn't have any extras, and so I've helped him out with that. So a lot of times, knowing that there's other people in your area that does that, especially if you're, up against a deadline or something for a job, it's good to know the people in your area that do what you do, because, if you have to get somebody else to help you with a job because your machine goes down or whatever, that is less impactful negatively to your business than having a customer not get their product because your machine went down. If you can get somebody to work with you and go, hey man, my machine went down, I've priced this job at whatever, can you help me get it done? Then at least that saves your business from, because especially if it's like for a kid's birthday party or something and you don't have the job done for the party, that's kind of a big deal. That's going to be the negative effect of what you would want. So, no, Dave, Steve, you want to explain what needs to go into that? I mean, it's an address, correct? Like on the sheet for the map.
If Google Maps can recognize it, so it can be. So here in the U.S., it could just be like.
Can I use latitude and longitude?
You can.
Okay.
It'll definitely recognize latitude, longitude. Otherwise, you know, if it's a major city, as long as it's not, you know, like if you just put in Birmingham, it's going to be confused. Or like, are you in the UK? Are you in Alabama? Are you in another state? So try to put the quantifier of as close as. You don't have to have a full physical address. So, you know, for me, it could just be Mankato, Minnesota, or you know, you could even just put Minnesota. It's going to put a pin in the middle of the state, but we don't want you to necessarily put your pin on your address.
Yeah, we're not.
You want to.
You know, we're not trying to drop one on your roof,
but
that's up to you.
Basically, if you put in something there that it can't see, when I go to import it, it's going to say, hey, get 2 rows with errors. And then if I can kind of look at it and go, oh, it's just a comma, that's weird, I'll try to do it. Otherwise, best I can do is clear it out. It doesn't automatically update. So if you put it in there and you don't see it pop up right away, you'll just give it some time. I usually update it a couple times a week, and definitely usually around the live stream.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll probably, since everybody's looking at it today, we'll probably go ahead and update it after the live.
Yeah.
Yes, that is Callie back there. All of them are in here. I've seen. I think Fluffy's over there eating right now. Their cat door got broke by a biscuit, so they're all just like hopping through the door instead of like easing through it like they normally do. They're literally just springing through the door like they launch over into the shop. So
we got
AGT's asking about lenses for the D1 20 watt.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the X-Tool D1 series Pro or not. So far, all of the ones I have seen use the same brass cover. They're all have kind of a it's roughly a 14 millimeter inner diameter. So the cover lenses I have are actually about 12 and a half. They're basically a half inch, and so they fit in. I provide a little rubber O-ring that kind of sits it in there, and then as you tighten it down, it pushes on the end of the module, holds it in place. So they will work for. So far, I mean, they work with the D1 Pro, the S1,
the longer, the ASMR.
Yeah, a lot of those. The ones we're finding that they don't are like the Ortura machines. They have a smaller one. The newer Atom Stack machines, like the V2, the
A24, the
X40, a little different. They all have kind of that narrower air assist cone. Those are the ones they're using. I think it's like a 12 or a 10 millimeter lens cover. So, but yes, for the D1 Pro, if you look for Vintari's Workshop on Etsy, you'll be able to find them. I sell them in an 8-pack of the lenses, along with a couple of O-rings and a little removable tool for if you got one of those screw in, the old X-Tool machines, and I think Combro, the first ones, they had kind of an inner ring nut that threaded in and held the lens in place, and then they got rid of that and just started gluing them in. Or
most of the ones that I've seen lately are just glued in, or either some of them aren't even glued. They just have like a little piece of like rubber back in behind them that kind of mashes in and holds them in. A
little silicone ring.
Yeah. So, but yeah. And even if the ones that are glued in, a lot of times, like you said, soak them and they pop loose. I have actually had a few that didn't want to pop loose, so I'd take a pencil or something and just kind of bust them out of there, and then take pick the pieces loose.
You know, sometimes you can. It takes a little bit, so get some acetone, set it in like a If you got like baby food jar, because it's glass.
I would say a film container, but they don't sell those anymore, do they?
They do. They actually do. You can buy it. Trust
those
me.
Those things were great for screws.
There's a place that's right next door to Woodcraft in Minneapolis. Well, actually, it's in Richfield, but
matter of fact, my box right there. Let me grab that box.
So anytime I'm up there, my wife's saying, "Hey, go grab some more of X type of film." So
don't let me jump up on you. But yeah, these are.
But you soak them in acetone, and that'll help loosen up any of the adhesive that's on there. So,
yeah. And the cool thing about it is like when you get Steve's lenses, like this is one that I have like I replaced the glass in it, so it's got a new piece of glass. But this is an older, like there's no telling how many times this has been ran, and I just keep replacing the glass. Like I've got one right here that I've got to rebuild, and I use the lenses a lot. That one's got to be replaced. You can see there's a little dot right there in the middle of it. It needs cleaning too, but once I start seeing like a little bit of a dot that doesn't wipe off, it's took out. I'll usually just trade them out and put them in the back of these little boxes, and I've got quite a few. and what I'll do is I'll go in there, put a new piece of glass in it, and then just put it back in this box. But I'll do 2 or 3 of them, when I do them. A lot of times I'll take and, while they got the glass out of it, I'll clean this really good with some solvent or whatever. Sometimes I'll even get goofy and put them over on the fiber laser and mark them as rebuilt, or whatever, so that I know that it's not a factory lens, it's a rebuilt one. Here's some of those. Here's some of the ones for like the Otour and stuff, the little small ones. But yeah, there's Sculpt Fun. That's another one that uses those size lenses. Because matter of fact,
on their older ones,
yeah, the S30
newer style. I don't think they've
the S30 and stuff. They've got these. These are some of the newest ones. Have that little piece in there.
But as far as my lens kits go, if you've got a brass end cap that screws off and that's containing the lens cover, if that lens is anywhere from 12.5 to 14 millimeters, then mine should fit.
There's your.
Yep.
That's actually what they look like. Somewhat.
The lenses are all kind of in a tissue. To kind of hold them, a tissue paper to kind of keep them clean and hold them. And then there's you've only got one of the O-rings there. You're using the other one apparently, but and then
I took one of them out of there. I had to have it. And if you meet Steve in a back alley and buy your lenses from him, this is how they come. This is when you like meet him around behind the restaurant and buy them from him. This is how they package.
No, I'm pretty sure that deal was done in Vegas, man.
Yeah. But no, these are some of these are like Kohl's that had like little minor things, but some of them are just like these small ones. We're testing these because this is a different size. This is for the X40 and the A24. So I'm testing those to see, make sure they work real good. But occasionally if he's, when I order, a lot of times I'll get extras, or either he'll be like, bring them to me when we meet, because I do occasionally have issues and go through some lenses. Typically, they last a long time, but if you ever get water in your air assist, you'll know because you'll pop like 3 lenses in a day.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, maybe I've got something going on here. And then you realize water is getting in your air.
So DLH is asking, Steve Dave, what are your thoughts on the Omni One looking to do glassware? I'll start out quickly. Mine arrived less than 24 hours before I left to drive down here. So I had enough time to assemble it quick, make sure it was working and there weren't any issues with it, and ran a couple of quick tests, I think, on metal. What was it I did? Metal and acrylic. And it was fun. I've got to do some more tweaking of the device file, get it calibrated. But you can talk to more specifically about some of the glassware stuff in your experience.
Yeah, the Omni so far has done a really good job with the glass acrylic. I really haven't found anything that it won't engrave. Now there are some materials, of course, that I can do with other machines like the CO2 or the blue diode, that those machines are faster than the UV. But because it will engrave it doesn't mean it's always the best machine to use. So like for tumblers and stuff like that, I'm still going to use either a blue diode or a CO2 for tumblers because, I need a little bit more power to go a little bit faster. Yes, I could do it with the Omni, but if I'm trying to completely remove the coating, it's better to use either the blue or the CO2, in my opinion. So there's, each material is different. If you're looking for either a thin material that's easy to burn through, or some type of material that warps when it gets hot, or plastics that typically won't interact without melting, that's where the UV, in my opinion, stands out, because it'll engrave those materials that normally won't engrave well because either they get too hot and start melting, or the laser just doesn't interact with them. The UV is going to kind of punch through that barrier, and it will interact with most anything I've thrown at it so far. I haven't really found anything that I can't engrave with it. Now, it may take me a little while to nail down the settings, but once you find the settings, it's most any material. Like, I'm sure I haven't tried engraving water with it yet. That would probably be a challenge, but any material that I have found. I guess if you froze it, you could engrave it, I guess.
Dave has been researching the X-Tool P2S. We don't have the P2S ourselves. We have the original P2. It's very nice CO2 laser. As far as cameras go, it's one of the nice ones because it has the dual camera. It takes the wide view. Let me back up. If you're using the X-Tool P2 series, it's very important that you do your distance measure first, because part of its equation for the camera alignment is how thick the material is. It'll have a bit of an offset based on how thick that is. You do that first, it'll take the wide view, and then it moves the gantry for a very detailed top-down view. And so you don't get as much aberration out in the corners because it's moving the camera over to the top of the spot. So, but the P2S is very similar to the P2, but they upgraded some of the nice things. They added the red dot alignment beam to it. They added better smoke extraction, more powerful fan, more venting area. And then the air pump is like twice as powerful.
The air assist got a pump,
which were all things that I think we all kind of said, hey, it would be nice that this is a little bit better and that a little bit better. So
yeah, those were the things it needed.
Outside of that, its capabilities are going to be pretty much identical to the original P2, but it's just going to be easier to use and a little more effective. I say that, but actually having that better air assist, it does improve the cutting capability.
Say, I would think it would cut a little better, and you're going to get a little cleaner with better air assist. I find that if you got a stronger air assist too, you get cleaner cuts on acrylic because it just seems like, I don't know if it's because it basically melts it and freezes it back so much faster, and it doesn't allow that heat to build up in the acrylic and cause the melted edges. But I've played around with some of the machines that I have, and air assist versus no air assist, more air assist versus less air. I like more air assist when I'm doing acrylics personally.
Well,
even engraving, because it like blows the dust out of the way, I think.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that might argue the other point, that if you're struggling with getting a nice clean cut, and so if you're not getting a polished edge, you probably have too much air.
Mine's a pretty good job.
But you may just been needing to crank up your air.
Well, it was the P2. The P2 was actually one of the ones that I didn't like the way the edges cut. I like the Omtech right now. The edges cut much better with the air assist on it. I've tried cutting acrylic with it off just to see, but I like it better with it on. So, and then the Hurricane. I think the Hurricane was the other one that I played around with it because I ran it a little bit differently as well. But
so, question on lines with the tumbler there you brought up.
Yeah, on tumblers, depending on the machine that you have, I prefer to defocus, do a high focus on it, typically around 3 millimeters high. That gives me enough overlap that it gives a nice clean, like it gives you that clean polished look, but it's not, it doesn't leave the engraved lines, because if you're too close to the material and too well focused, you'll get those little tiny scratches in the metal, and you can actually see them if you get the settings too high, too hot. But by defocusing a little bit, you don't see those and you get a nice smooth edge. This one has a touch of them. This is an early tumbler. This one has a touch of those little lines in it, but not enough that you can really see it without, like, not with the camera anyway. But when you defocus it a little bit, you cause that energy to be over a wider area, which gives you less risk of actually causing those scratches on the stainless steel. It also overlaps it to the point to where if you're leaving just a little bit of the powder coat, when you overlap it by raising the focus like that, it tends to, in my opinion, it does a cleaner job. I would test it on your end, but I run my LPI, like I do a lot of my tumblers with the S1, and I run my LPI up to about 200. Or I guess is it LP?
That's lines per centimeter on that one.
Yeah, it's LPC or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I'll set it at about 200, anywhere from 160 to 200, I think it is, and raise the focus, and I get good results. I've got some videos on doing tumblers with the S1 that kind of covers the whole raising the focus, and especially with the S1 because it has the probe. I kind of trick it by using a ruler as a spacer on top of the tumbler, just to keep from having to set an offset. That way that just flows better to me than trying to remember to put that offset in there and making sure it stays, because I'll close the file and forget to save or whatever.
Dean's asking, how well is the Lasermatic MK2 held up over time?
I mean, does a good job. I'm not running as much as I used to because I got too many machines in the shop. But
yeah,
but it's built as good or better than most machines in my opinion.
It's pretty solid. I mean, but they ship it really solid and pre-assembled. I would say the thing that most people I think run into is depending on your air extraction. If their smoke is lingering a bit, the smoke on the fan is maybe a maintenance point. Surprisingly so, the way they designed their air assist cone and how they route that external air around it, the lens cover. I mean, I inspect it as often as I can. That's one complaint, is that one screw on there is hard to get off to remove the module from it. But anytime I check the lens, it's actually very clean. Considering how much I may have run it. So real solid laser as far as quality wise. So
oh Lord, we got a freaking bot in there. I don't know where it come from.
There was one I had eliminated from Twitch.
No, this one's on Facebook. I just done what I could. I'll keep
but
looking.
But yeah, I know. But the nice thing too, Lasermatic's one of those companies that, you know, if you get in there and get with their support, they're pretty good about taking care of you. Even with having to replace some spare parts and other things. So
David's asking, do your lenses fit the Lasermatic 1030?
We've tested. I think we looked at yours and they fit mine.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. Like, don't make me lie because I don't remember.
Yeah, it's got pretty much the same brass cap under everything as the other typical ones. So
yeah. Robbie saying Steve gets all the new toys. That's true, Robbie.
There was another person who asked about the testing for the lenses, the smaller lenses. As you see, Clack's got a little baggie of goodies that he was going to do some testing on.
Yeah, I haven't really burned up any lenses. I haven't had any water in my. You know, I keep my lenses clean because a lot of people. There's a lot of, you know, things about it. Lenses are they are gonna go bad, especially in a machine if you don't keep it clean. Like if you're not just overly aggressive and overly particular about your maintenance, you let it get a little bit of dust on the lens for a little while, or you know, you mess around. Like I run shop air occasionally. I'll forget to drain my air compressor and get a little bit too much water in the lines. Which now, since I went to double water separators on my lines, I haven't had a problem because I now have three. There's 3 water separators before it gets to the laser. There's one at the machine, one coming into the enclosure, and then there's one inside the enclosure. So since I've did that, I haven't had a problem. But little known fact, if you run shop air, especially if you use like a California air compressor or whatever, there is an inlet filter on those California air compressors. And if you don't change it, you will actually increase the amount of water vapor that gets into the tank, which eventually will dictate into more water in your airlines. So if you haven't changed that, you have a California air, it's literally a little filter that's about that big around, looks like a little small cupcake that just pops in there and the cover snaps over top of it. Those do need changing from time to time, and you can get them on Amazon like really cheap because that it cost me more to replace the lenses on the machines that I messed up than it did to replace that filter. But that was a lesson that I didn't know. I didn't know that was that big of a deal. But when that filter stops up, for some reason, it creates way more water inside the compressor.
Dave's asking, on the P2S, is the air assist adjustable? Through XCS, it is. Mm-hmm. You can set the flow for cutting as well as engraving. Yeah. So you can have a couple different settings on.
It's there. Like a 1 through 6 or 1 through 8, something like that.
So there is some adjustment through the software, but it's not like a mechanical thing you can adjust.
Yeah,
and the same thing on the original P2, same thing on the S1 and some of their newer ones that use they have I forget what they call it, the air pump. It actually hooks into the laser with a data cable, and so that one that works on the S1, the M1 Ultra, and a few others.
3 Rusty Nails is asking, what is your thoughts on putting a filter on top of your module on the MK2? I don't do it. That's just me. I don't do it. I've got a bunch of lasers, and I just don't do it.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them out there. I can't speak to them. My concern with it is I'd want to see it from I'd want to see the manufacturer okay it and give their blessing, because they have set that up. The airflow is there to cool the electronics, and it's expecting a certain amount of airflow. Any filter is going to restrict airflow. And
because you're cutting down the square foot or square inches or whatever.
And as that filter works, it's going to continue to cut down the airflow even more. It's going to do a better job of filtering, which is going to cut down the airflow. So my concern there is you need to be able to monitor and manage the cooling effect of the air going over that. My thing, and I know you've mentioned it before, is if I'm having a problem with that getting too dirty too fast, I need to figure out why.
It's a ventilation problem.
I need to improve my ventilation. I need to get the air extracted better.
I'm the world's worst about like not doing maintenance as often as I probably should have. But typically speaking, I keep this little skewer stays right here on my table beside me. And I'll drop this little skewer down in there to keep the fan from spinning. And I'll take an air hose when I do my cleaning my lens and everything. Before I clean the lens, I'll put that in there and I'll hit it with a little bit of compressed air. The dust that gets in my module is dry and it powder and it comes out. I have seen people, and I've seen this, and it was, matter of fact, I'm not going to call him out, but it was Klein. Klein had a machine that he was having some problems with, and he brought it over here. The fan, the inside of the machine, the inside of the module, it was like, had like a crystalline, almost like you sprayed it with hairspray. But what it was the same stuff that gets on the honeycomb. It was that tar and that pitch and stuff from the materials was in the module. Well, what causes that is there's not enough ventilation. You getting because no matter how good, because if the machine's getting that dirty, just running a job between normal maintenance, if it's getting dirty enough that it's causing you that big of a grief, then there's a problem. That means you need to increase the flow of the exhaust, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's going to cause any negative effects to the machine. It seems like you're treating a symptom of something else, in my opinion. There's a bigger issue at lies, which is the fact that the machine is basically sitting there breathing its own exhaust, and it shouldn't be doing that. It'd be kind of like you're running your car in your garage. Eventually, it's going to be breathing the exhaust, and that's, to me, is why it gets so much more dirty so quick, is because there's a problem with either your materials are producing way more vapors than your system can handle, or your system needs to be upgraded. That's just me. I don't, like I said, I've got, and you can see my machine over here. You saw it today. It's a little dusty, but it's not like it's not corroded. Like my machines don't get that. I've never had a machine get like that. So,
well, it's also why on your typical larger cabinet CO2 lasers, the air exhaust is like a downdraft table. They want to pull all that down and keep it away from the optics and such. And so that's where it'd be nice to see that on diode lasers, to have that be more below it, because then it's going to be directing it. But again, I mean, my big concern is that I wouldn't want to do a mod that is going to affect the.
I would have some concerns.
I would want it to be checked off by the manufacturer. Some people are saying that they worked with someone on it as well, and yes, the counter argument to that is, well, the buildup of debris on the heat sinks internally is going to be just as bad or worse.
Yeah, and that might be the case.
One you have to keep in check, and it's the whole key thing here is your module needs to stay cooled by air moving over it. So
yeah,
there's just I'm treading a little bit lightly here, because I don't want to recommend something that you're going to do and then you have a problem. The manufacturer says, well, why did you do this? That completely voids your warranty.
Well, I mean, you could take technically and put a filter over the radiator in your car and keep your radiator in your car from getting dirty. But, it's just, to me, the risk, it doesn't, I don't have the problems of my modules getting that nasty, that it's that big of an issue. They get dusty, yes, but it's dry dust that's easily blown out. Occasionally, I may take the fan out, clean the fan, put it back in, but my machines don't get it doesn't get that dirty for me to take a risk of that, because if I'm not cleaning my laser enough, and if I don't have it set up good enough that it stays clean, then there's a really good chance that I'm probably not going to service that filter the way that I need to either, and that could have catastrophic issues in my opinion. So I know me, and I know how I do my maintenance, and that's not something I prefer to do, and I'm not going to knock anybody that does it. But anyway,
did one built enclosures for a fiber machine. Commark or Omni on the way. I want to make an enclosure, looking for ideas.
My buddy Bill did. But now the problem comes in is the glass may not be laser safe. And I mean, I guess you could find it, but it's hard to come by, because especially if you make them one enclosure, and you got, like, let's say if you had these two machines and you wanted to build just one enclosure, so you only had to have one fan set up, because you're only going to be running one at a time most days. Then now you've got to get a glass that can protect you from both, and those are kind of hard to come by. You can get it. JTech Photonics sells it, but you just have to make sure, if you want to put a viewing window in it, that make sure that you get glass that is appropriate for whatever wavelength laser that you're going to put in there. But I have, in my new shop, when I get a chance to build it, I hope to build myself some basically a couple of standalone little enclosures for fiber lasers, so that I can put them in there. But right now I can't. This has to be able to move, and I don't want to do that. So I just wear glasses and lock the cats out. So
yeah, I've thought about that as well, because I have more of those. I'll initially test them out in the bigger shop where it's easier to move around them and such, and it's a controlled environment. But where I kind of keep them to use them is now more in my basement work area. Down there, though, I mean, I usually keep the door shut, or let people know if the lasers are in operation there. But occasionally a cat sneaks in, and yeah, this is wide open. They're short. It presents a danger for them. So yeah. I've looked at some options. Being that, I mean, these aren't, especially the Omni one. It's not. You can move it around, but it's not something I'm going to be taking to like a show. So the enclosure I would build for it is probably going to be a bit more static.
Yeah.
It
would be like a really big cabinet, basically, with a window.
It could be. My main thing would be, looking at airflow on the back. So I would probably have a port that maybe has a pass through for the 4-inch port that I could hook up on the back. I would probably build it pretty solid tops, and just have the front be, maybe a bifold door or something that can swing open. But I wouldn't worry about any windows on this anywhere.
Yeah.
But just make sure that it's easy to get in and out for any maintenance thing. I know some people have built it out of like 2020 extrusion, and then you can kind of get an acrylic panel that will fit in there. They even have hinges for those things. You can make a door. But I haven't seen, not that I've looked too deeply for them, I haven't seen too many other people with that. I know Commarker have an enclosure of sorts, but
yeah, they sell basically it's an acrylic enclosure for the ones that I've seen, and they're not cheap. Me personally, I'd probably make one out of plywood, because for what you're wanting the enclosure to accomplish, you could literally make it out of like 1/4 inch or 3/8 half-inch plywood and some little wood strips, and it would serve the purpose. It's going to hold the exhaust in. It's going to keep the laser light from escaping. So there's options. My buddy Billy, he built his, basically his almost looks like a cabinet, but it's got the laser glass in the door. And he had even, I think before he got the glass, he put a camera in there and was just using it, like viewing it from the camera to keep an eye on the machine while it was running. But he's actually got the Commarker, was it the B4? He's got it in a little enclosure that he built like that.
Yeah, I was just looking at Commarker's page. It looks like theirs is too small. It's meant for the earlier series. The Omni one's a bit bigger.
Yeah, I guess I could put some laser glass in the cat mask. Maybe that would work. But Fluffy doesn't like the cat mask. We tried that. She acted like she was going to eat me up the other day.
So I'm curious, though.
Trade Skill said the com marker version won't fit the Omni.
Yeah,
and he's probably right because
I was just on their page looking at it. A little bigger, too small.
I mean, if you had a CNC, you could CNC you some panels and 3D print some corner brackets, and you could make one.
I know he's got
but that I will tell you this: you'd be better off make it like 3 sides out of some wood and then 1 side out of acrylic, because that acrylic's not cheap.
No. Yeah, I mean, pick your material and finish it off. Probably add some LED lighting in there so you can see the stuff, and then a way to extract any debris and smoke. But that might be something I end up having to. I'm with you, JR. I want to build one too.
My new shop's gonna have. I'm gonna make one. It's gonna be pretty cool looking. If eventually, I don't know when that'll be, but eventually, I want to build me some enclosures. And like I said, we've talked about. My brother brought me all that glass that I got some security glass that's like bulletproof glass basically. And I've even thought about, like using it and making like CNCing myself some brackets and building like this almost like a fish tank type enclosure. But it wouldn't be laser safe, but it would protect you from the, something getting up in there on it, or the fumes, or, metal. Because a lot of this, it's doing metal and stuff like that scares me. The first time I went for an MRI for my back, the night before then, I had to engrave some stuff on the fiber that was steel, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I hope I don't have like little metal dust in my lungs or something going in this MRI. And because it is little pieces of metal coming off of it when you engrave it. So
yeah, you want to make sure that if you're building one of these yourself, you want to double check the wavelength. So the Omni one is 355 nanometer. You want to make sure that the safety acrylic does support that. And so like what works for the blue diodes in the Omni 1 is not going to work for, like, say, a CO2. So
yeah,
just make sure you're using the right acrylic when doing that. We've used stuff from JTech Photonics in the past. I see that someone was mentioning, what was it, Top Acrylics, Tap Plastic. Jade Cloudfeather was mentioning OD6 orange red is available from Tap Plastic. So that'd be actually better than the JTech Photonics, higher density rating. So just make sure you're getting the right acrylic on that, and yeah, maybe we'll see a build or two on that in the near future.
Yeah, Dean, I guess it's Dean. Yeah, Dean said, why not build a metal cabinet with straight beams, be strong enough to cut through it? Typically speaking, Dean, focus, especially with the fibers that we use, focus, those things are so focus sensitive that if it reflects off of a material, the chances of it being focused after it reflects enough to do any damage is very slim. Because even though material may look smooth and sleek and stuff, those fibers are sensitive. Like, you be 1 millimeter out of focus on a fiber and it's not going to cut. So it's not going to cut through a metal enclosure.
Or even a wooden one.
Yeah, and it doesn't interact with wood.
The argument of why not get a metal versus wood, I'm guessing was asking. But yeah, it's not going to be doing the cutting damage, but it's still going to be doing damage to, like, your eyes.
Yeah, you don't want to look at it.
You can still get that, So the enclosure's good, but once it's out of...
No, he was asking would it cut through the metal, or was it strong enough to cut through? But
the question is, why not get a metal cabinet with straight beams be strong enough to cut through? When we're taking the question two different ways. I'm assuming he's worried about it cutting through wood. Why not use a metal cabinet?
It doesn't. Fibers don't do wood.
Well, the Omni One, a different wavelength. It
could if it was focused, but what's the chances? What's the chances of it? If the wood's over here, of it being focused?
It's not. But I mean, it's as a matter of fact, if you're using it for a fiber, the metal's more likely to get damaged than the wood. But with this one,
yeah, it could interact with it. But like I said, the chances of it being focused enough to do anything, it's very, very slim.
But let's see.
James is working on it's more of a support thing. It's not a machine or any kind of training. It's just a support deal. Like I said, I don't want to give it away, but it's a cool project he's working on.
So anyway,
all right, we're
about 5 minutes out from our normal cutoff time. Sometimes you go longer anyway, but if you have any last questions or comments, now's a good time to throw them out there. I will be someone was asking if I'm going to be moving to Alabama anytime soon. It's
we ain't letting him move down here.
You know, it's funny though. I every time I come down here, I talk to people are like, "Oh yeah, I used to live in Minnesota."
Oh yeah, he is meeting a lot of people from Minnesota down here, and he's like, "Wow, they do let Minnesota people stay."
But yeah, no, it's beautiful down here. It's different landscape. Now there's differences between southern Minnesota and northern Minnesota. This part of Alabama reminds me more of northern Minnesota, just warmer, and fewer smaller lakes. Bigger rivers though, you know, because all that water from up north flows down south usually, so the rivers get bigger down here. But no, I'll be heading back. I'm getting on the road tomorrow, and I got 16 plus hours to drive, and we'll be making it about halfway. And then hoping to not get too much of the storm that's coming through. I mean, I know I'll be driving through wind and rain on Wednesday, hoping it stays rain. Looking at the forecast,
maybe it doesn't get slippery.
Looking at the forecast, should stay rain till well after I'm home. But yeah, I've got to get back to work. I got to get back to my shop. But yeah,
you've got a machine you got to review.
I've got the Omni One waiting for me down there, and I've got some videos to cut. There was a video I shot a video before coming down, and I foolishly thought I'd get some time to edit it. So hopefully that will be up shortly after I'm back. Working on the Omni One. There might be the teaser green shroud device is hopefully going to be on its way to me as well. But as I've been teasing, and as the sweatshirt said, now it's not going to be only CNC, but I'm also going to be jumping back into I've been missing playing more with my CNC routers. And you know, some of the new bits I've gotten from Cody recently as well. Want to be playing with some fun stuff there. I've got some cooler, bigger things, you know, maybe some quasi furniture like things I want to try to be doing on the CNC. So hopefully if I can stay motivated, if I can stay focused in the shop and not have too many things pull me away or too many problems on the projects, have a nice variety of things coming out in different venues over the next few months. So
yeah, you like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think about the Omni. I mean, I know you got to play with it a little bit, but I want to see a little more about that. So that'll be cool. Burn Carve Prince asking any clues what's under the green screen, and I'll tell you, it's a machine, and it's got a feature that I'd never seen in a machine before. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I've never seen it. So it's kind of cool. It's a usable machine that I think folks that are just getting into the hobby, it might be something that piques their interest. So that's cool. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah. I did bring the minivan.
Yeah.
Everything will stay dry in it. Don't have to worry about rain.
Yeah, and I'm sending him back with some of this plywood that I got from Rugby, so he can have some test materials that he knows is the same stuff that I'm using. So if we're comparing different machines and we want to, you know, kind of a benchmark material to use, we can both use it, because I had to cut up some more plywood tonight because I'm making big signs for my party planner, and I ran out of plywood, so I had to go cut up 5 more sheets of plywood for that. So how's the sweet tea bell working? Sweet tea bell. Oh no, I don't got no bell. I ain't ringing no bell. Y'all trying to get me in trouble. I think they're talking about because I'm out of tea. We're not doing that.
Also resisted the $6 bottle of water in our hotel room.
Yeah. We managed to stay in a room for 3 days, and nobody took the $6 bottle of water and drank it. So it's a good thing. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, like I said, I'm hoping that now that I'm back here and we've got the trip out of the way, I've got some jobs I got to get caught up on because I don't want to be late with a job. Like I said, being late or failing to complete a job is not something that you want to do for your business because that'll spread faster than the good stuff that you do. So I got to get some jobs caught up and get those done. Once I get them out, I've got 2 or 3 videos that I want to do. Me and Steve actually come up with a video that we talked about, maybe both of us doing our own little version of it. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. It may be something that we work on for the next few months or something.
Yep.
But Steve's going to try to get us I'm trying to peer pressure him into getting his CNC out. And I've even lined up 2 CNCs. So I got the Genmitsu sitting there right beside the Shipoko. And so every time he sees one of the videos, he's thinking about it. But hopefully we can.
My Genmitsu is sitting on my 150.
Well, yeah, but that prohibits you from using the 150. You got to put it beside it.
No, I'm using it. It works as great as it takes. Jerry's asking to do a video that talks about to really successfully vent your dial laser, avoid smoke in the shack. I touch on it in a few of my videos. Even if you go back to my X-Tool D1 enclosure build, I talk a little bit about how and why I designed the venting on that one. I also need to finish, speaking of things that have been dragging on for a while, I've got a bigger enclosure that I've been working on. Winter's kind of stalled me on that one because I don't like exhausting heat from my shop in the middle of winter. So there's a few things I got to tweak on that one where I'll touch on that. But I do have a video out that talks about improving the air extraction through using an inline fan and some piping and some things to consider there. So that one might be worth checking out because, again, I kind of touch on a little of the things I'm trying to work with and kind of some things to consider as you're maybe looking at upgrading your exhaust. So that would be another good one to check out.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I've mentioned it on a lot of my enclosure builds, but I've never done anything specifically about that. The one thing that I will say with exhaust, you can buy the biggest, meanest, strongest, best built fan in the world. If it can't pull air into the enclosure, it's not going to blow air out of the enclosure. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they try to seal their machine in and they get it so airtight that the fan is basically just circulating the air around the blades into the pipe and then back into the enclosure. Think of it as a straw and take that straw and put it in your drink. Put your finger over the top of the straw and then lift the straw out. That is what happens in an enclosure. No matter what fan you have, that's what happens if you don't allow space for air to come in to the enclosure somewhere other than where the fan is located. So always make sure that you have adequate flow. If you look over at your machine and when you look in there, it looks like one of those scenes from a Cheech and Chong movie to where the smoke is so thick you can't see your laser. Reach over and, with your glasses on, do it safely, of course. Raise the lid or open the lid slightly and give it like 1/4 of an inch of space around the lid and watch what a difference that little bit of air intake makes in your enclosure. You have to make sure that the air that is being discharged from the enclosure has to be replaced with clean air or air from somewhere because it's not going to move. You've got to, that's one of the biggest things that I see people make a mistake is they build these nice enclosures and they seal that thing up like Fort Knox. Mm-hmm. Or they build this nice enclosure and they put so many air gaps in the front of it that the poor fan just can't build up enough vacuum to create negative pressure to keep the smoke sucked out. So airflow, your inlet is definitely one of the most overlooked problems with machines. It's counterintuitive, but sometimes you want to leave cracks around the door or drill holes in the front to allow air to get in. So if you ever have a problem and you notice that your machine seems to be running really dirty and you've bought the best fan that you can find and you're still not getting, you're still cloudy inside your enclosure, try putting something under the edge of the lid or something. Like if you got like a little book like this, open the lid and just give it a little bit of air and see if that makes a difference. And if it does, then try to figure out what your best course is to either make that air gap permanent or add some type of a louver that you could adjust the airflow or something like that. So that's when it comes to ventilation, that is one of the most overlooked things, because it's like, I'm going to get an 800 CFM fan with a 6-inch outlet. That doesn't do you any good if it can't breathe. If it can't breathe, it can't blow.
No.
So there you
go.
Everybody's talking about your stickers.
Yeah. I don't know that he's found all the ones from last year.
I think I got most of them. They're everywhere, and they're black and white, so they kind of blend in with my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he could be looking at one right now and not know it.
Oh, I found it a while ago. I saw it. It's sitting right there, but I didn't. It did take me a while to figure out it was there.
I'm just doing a favor to the people that come by and visit Clack, and he gives them some swag. He's able to
there you go.
Have a few extra stickers yet.
Trade Skiller says, think of it as your inlet on your barbecue, and that's exactly it. When you're grilling, if your grill starts flaming up too much, you close that little vent and choke it out, and don't let it get no air, and it can't flame up, because so forth and so on. That also allows the air to flow through there, when you're smoking meat or whatever. So the inlet is just as important, if not more so, than the exhaust.
Well, and then you can also get into other dynamics of where your inlet's at, and trying to make sure you're directing the flow so that it doesn't have that chance to. You don't want the fan on the module sucking the smoke into because if the fan on the module is sucking smoke through those cooling fins, you have an exhaust issue, because it should go through the material, or either off of the material and out of the enclosure. It should not have a chance to come up and go through the module, in my opinion. Now, I know there's some machines out there that it will if you don't ventilate it properly. But the question on using air assist when you engrave, we both do. Maybe on some materials not full, but a lot of times I will try to run it on full if I can, and then just adjust speed and power to get what I want. Just because it's easier than having to remember to adjust it if you don't have a smart air module where you can set it like that. And B, it helps ensure that there's almost zero chance of anything working its way up to that lens.
And another thing too is, like, you got to think, when you're engraving, it creates dust. And if you don't get that dust off of the engraved, then the next pass that comes over is engraving that dust. So you're not going to get as good a burn. You may have an inconsistent burn where it has dark and light spaces and stuff like that. The air assist basically blows the dust off of the material before the laser beam gets there, because that stream of air is hitting that material and blasting stuff outward. And so it's, the air is hitting the little dust particles before the laser gets there. So you're going to get that smoother engrave on materials, because it's basically cleaning it before the laser gets there. And you'd have to really zoom in to be able to see that, but that's what's happening. And to me, I like running it all the time. It keeps my machine cleaner, and not as much cleaning of lenses. So what else we got? It is now 2:08, so we've been 2 hours and 8 minutes. And I don't want to keep you guys, and I'm tired. My voice is still.
Your voice is
going away. So I've got to quit talking so much. Well, it's all that, and then last night too, it was the music in the background, and it's just been a long weekend. So, but it was a good weekend. I enjoyed it. JR, Don, if you're here still, it was good to meet you guys. Good to see you guys. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed telling stories, exchanging information, and we as always, we enjoy the compliments and the critiques on what we could do better. Not saying we're necessarily going to do what you say, but at least we know, because a lot of times we take for granted how you guys, some of you like it, and we usually know the passionate ones that don't like it. Those guys usually make it pretty obvious, but a lot of times we don't understand exactly that. Some people actually do like our videos. It's not all about those negative comments we get every Monday morning or every morning.
No, but we definitely appreciate the positive comments, or even just the fun, inside jokes about Steve on a stick, or stickers hiding in shops, and things like that.
I got 2 Steves today.
More than that.
Ow, I got a splinter. That wasn't
That's
fun.
what you get. But no, we appreciate that, and that's a lot of our fun with these lives too, is just real time kind of interaction with everyone.
Yeah.
So
hey, and we were pleased too to hear, because a lot of times you meet people that they don't know what you do, and we would tell them, yeah, we do a live stream on Sundays, and we usually have between 100 and 200 people depending. That's and we didn't realize that's apparently we're doing pretty decent with it. So, and you guys are the ones that are that I guess you could say analytic that we're looking at, because you guys sit through it and listen to us. I mean, I know a lot of you will come and go or whatever, but it's really cool. It's not just me and Steve sitting here talking to each other anymore. So that's cool.
So,
but yeah, Chris said splinter equals karma. Yeah, I probably should have sanded Steve on a stick a little bit. I'll put that on my to-do list. I picked it up and slid it down my hand. It was like, wow, oak splinter.
So,
but guys, we appreciate it.
Yep. But
and safe travels.
Yeah, I'll be traveling home. Like I said, hopefully finish up editing the project video. You've got the green screen machine coming out hopefully soon, and don't forget next Sunday we'll be back, but it's technically going to be an hour earlier.
I mean, I guess it will be when time's going to be changing.
Daylight savings time, which if we could move to it and stay, I'd be happy.
Well, there's been talk about it, but
I'm excited because now my evenings get brighter.
Yeah, well, I'm just glad that it's getting where it's getting more. I actually had to cut grass. What was it, like Wednesday when you showed up?
They're all like, I better mow the lawn before Steve gets here, because
Joe Grady wants to know if you're sleeping in the shack. I threatened to have him put his air mattress over on the Shavoco, but we didn't. I was afraid the cats wouldn't leave him alone. No, he's sleeping in the house.
I did, since I had the van and I wasn't hauling a bunch of airplanes and a bunch of stuff to work here for a week. I had some room, so I made sure I tossed in the cot and the sleeping mattress just in case I needed them.
Yeah, he does have what we call roughing it capabilities, but we're not going to make him do that. So, but yeah. So, but anyway, guys, y'all, like I said, hit the like button, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're not following us, go check out Steve. If you're not following whichever, just make sure you make it happen, guys.
Yep.
And we'll see y'all next week, if not before then.
Hopefully before then, but for sure next Sunday.
All right. Good night.
We'll see you.